and savor. Those are our top stories. Hello, this is Ben Meno Pufong, and this is the 7:30 News.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
You're welcome once again. An envoy of Burkina Faso was at the Unity Palace today. The special advisor to Burkinabe President Cameroonian-born Thierry Haut was bearer of a special message from President Roch-Marc Christian Kabore to his Cameroonian counterpart, Paul Biya. Chief Unity Palace correspondent Ashu Niente reports on the main thrust of the Unity Palace tete-a-tete.
This Tuesday, 25th August 2020, looks like a day of ordinary routines at the Unity Palace. But along the corridors is diplomatic activity. On this occasion, a special envoy comes calling, dispatched by the President of Burkina Faso, Roch-Marc Christian Kabore, to confer with his Cameroonian counterpart. The emissary, Cameroonian-born Thierry Haut, who is special advisor to Burkinabe President, is received upon alighting by the Chief of State Protocol and the Minister, Director of the Civil Cabinet, Samuel Mvondo Ayolo, before the VIP guest meets the Cameroonian sovereign. For close to an hour, President Paul Biya and his interlocutor examined areas of interest between the two countries, reason for the envoy's visit.
I came here to share some views of my president with President Biya. It was about security, about fighting COVID-19, and about governance. It was a very nice, let's say, moment shared with President Biya.
But what does Burkina Faso stand to gain from Cameroon on these grounds?
Sharing experience, mainly on these security issues, fighting terrorism, good practices.
Thierry Haut takes back to his principal and place of work Burkina Faso the well-meaning friendship of his place of birth, Cameroon, and its leader.
Douala, the economic capital of Cameroon, needs some 240 kilometers of water drainage channels to keep the city out of harm's way in the event of a flood. This pressing need was presented by the city mayor, Roger Mbassadine, to the Territorial Administration Minister Paul Atanga as he chaired a working session with the council and administrative officials at the wake of last week's floods that left huge parts of the city underwater. As CRTV's special envoy to Douala, Ebenezer Akanga, reports, Paul Atanganji used his stay in Douala to hand relief items from the presidential couple to flood victims in the Douala 3 and 5 council areas.
At a working session which held in the conference hall of the Littoral Governor's Office, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, said that he is in Douala on high instructions of the head of state to evaluate the effects of the floods of August 21, 2020 and hand relief items from the presidential couple to victims. After the working session, the minister visited some sites in the Douala 5 and 3 council areas to see for himself the magnitude of the floods. He then proceeded to hand relief items from the presidential couple to flood victims in the 2 council areas in 2 separate ceremonies. Some 400 families in the Douala 5 and 3 council areas benefited from the assistance.
We would have to ask the local population to work hand in hand with the local administrative authorities and with the government. If you have to go and build in a swampy area, you should know sooner or later that your building will be damaged either by floods or by other natural disasters.
According to the minister, a comprehensive report on the causes and solutions of the floods will be forwarded to hierarchy for action.
The Cameroon government has ambition to drastically cut down on the importation of pharmaceutical products to boost the local pharmaceutical industry and render it more competitive in the sub-region. Mines, Industries and Technological Development Minister Gabriel Ndododoke, who described the ambition as part of the country's industrialization master plan, is currently visiting in Douala to keep abreast of the problem currently confronting the sector. Alphonse Abongwa Achu is in Douala.
Cameroon's pharmaceutical industry counts 16 accredited production factories, out of which only 5 are effectively operational. The problems of the sector are manifold.
Close to 90% of medicines consumed in Cameroon are imported.
The loopholes of the pharmaceutical sector have even been more visible during this period of the coronavirus pandemic.
With the crisis which have prevailed these past months, local production should be intensified.
Industries, Mines and Technological Development Minister comes to Douala for 2 days to listen, assess and collect these plights and see how government can make the sector more vibrant, competitive and self-sufficient.
The government will be with them to make their activity grow and to make our country be able to face our problems of availability of pharmaceutical products.
A 2016 research report by Health Sciences and Diseases reveals that in the year 2000, Cameroon spent 100 billion CFA francs to import pharmaceutical products.
A campaign to popularize the computer platform of the National Economic and Financial Committee has gone running in Yaoundé under the auspices of the Ministry of Finance. The platform, that consists of 6 interconnected components, will make available information from credit and microfinance institutions to users with ambition to ease access to loans. Clarice Array Takang now explains how this innovating platform functions.
Credit and microfinance institutions receive information from their clients and feed the data regarding their financial transactions into the IT platform of the National Economic and Financial Committee. The good news is for those in need of loans. Access will be eased on the basis of having all relevant information about the borrower. The bad news, however, is for those with an unhealthy financial track record, such as loan defaulters or those guilty of check malpractices. They will be put on file. The 6 components of the platform have been conceived to interact with each other.
If a bank wants to give a loan to an enterprise, it goes to that platform and gets information. And it might just need complementary information from the enterprise. So it is very useful for everybody to know that this financial institution, this microfinance institution, is doing well. It is running a risk. The way it is going, in the next 2 months, 3 months, is going to close.
Information in the platform can be accessed by authorized services of BEAC, microfinance and credit institutions, administrations with a legal, economic or financial vocation, and persons identified in the system only for data concerning them.
The ICT startups currently trading their know-how at the ICT Innovation Week in Yaoundé are exploring a variety of themes that can positively impact Cameroon's digital economy, from health through agriculture to education and even software development. The budding ICT experts are thrilling the Yaoundé public with a panoply of innovations that are all vying to grab the best ICT projects of the year. Yoti Kalilisonge reports.
Imaginations today, ICT innovations that can positively change Cameroon's health, economic and social sectors.
From what is today is just a kit that will help agriculturers to protect their plants from animals.
Big Data Social System is a platform which helps in tracing the owners of fake news over social media.
Sentinel is a site that will help people to fight cybercrime.
Cellphone is a crowdfunding platform that helps youths from the Far North region to apply their project and get investors.
The PFMS platform is a platform where farmers can easily detect diseases in their farms, and they can consult a veterinarian in real time, and they can also sell the chickens.
For translation problems, Cameroon eTranslate is the solution, providing translation from national to local languages, while BNR Labs is more than ready to be the teacher's virtual laboratory. Out of the 15 startups competing, only one will be selected as winner of the best ICT project of the year.
The Speaker of Cameroon's National Assembly, Crtv, and the German ambassador-designate to Cameroon, Fcfa, have been reviewing the state of parliamentary ties between Cameroon and Germany. The German diplomat pledged her country's continuous support to Cameroon in seeking a peaceful resolution of the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions, as well as the ongoing fight against the coronavirus. Details with Esther Kmer.
Cameroon's relations with Germany remains multifaceted and has been translated in the last 6 decades by development projects funded to the tune of over 670 billion CFA francs through the German Cooperation Agency. This, Her Excellency Corina Frike recapitulated with House Speaker Honorable Kamer. She expressed her intention to strengthen parliamentary ties and the volition to support Cameroon in her daily challenges.
We also discussed immediate questions like the situation after or with COVID, about the situation in Northwest Südwest, and we agreed that peaceful solution would be necessary.
An additional package of roughly 66 billion CFA francs will be basically devoted to back the decentralization process, rural development, and the sustainable use of natural resources.
Cameroon will soon organize a book fair in the nation's capital, during which writers will be opportuned to showcase their various literary creations. The information was made public in Yaoundé today after an audience that Cameroon's Minister of Arts and Culture, Bidung Pat, granted the prolific writer and culture ambassador Calixte Beyala. The minister also used the conversation to announce the acquisition of a piece of land on which a center for artistic and intellectual creation will be erected and put at the disposal of writers and artists. 9 freshly appointed military judges have taken the oath of office in a solemn ceremony at the Yaoundé Military Court, with instructions to deliver justice in all fairness and equity. The president of the court, Colonel Abega Mbozoa, further invited the military magistrates to make the respect of human rights their credo. Sidoni Jobmandi reports.
To render justice with impartiality to all.
The 9 military magistrates took the oath to respect human rights and prioritize procedures of the court and tribunals of the Republic.
Their role is to help prosecution as far as their work within military courts is concerned.
In line with military tradition, the military judges have been officially welcomed in the corps.
The military tribunal is a special jurisdiction. Then, it's a special jurisdiction because we deal with so many sensible cases.
While taking engagement to respect principles of their profession and to adequately honor the rights of the Republic, important recommendations on how to better manage the socio-economic crisis in the northwest and southwest regions were also made by the president of the military court to the new military judges.
A Cameroonian citizen incarcerated in Equatorial Guinea for allegedly participating in the failed coup d'etat intended to destabilize the Malabo regime in December 2017 has been declared innocent and handed over to the Cameroonian authorities. 26-year-old Crise Fan Edane, who hails from Man subdivision of the South region, was handed over to Governor Felix Ngelengele by his counterpart of the Kientem province of Equatorial Guinea, Justo Xavier Ngom, during a ceremony in Ebibeyin. Pontianus Lawon reports from CRTV South.
26-year-old Crise Fan Edane regains liberty after being incarcerated in Equatorial Guinea for over 1 year. He has been found innocent after being accused of serving as an accomplice in a foiled coup d'etat that targeted the Malabo regime in December 2017. Our brother was caught with a wanted person. Salvador Alovo Mansour was taken for an accomplice. The Cameroonian citizen has been handed over to the South governor, who has described the gesture as a giant step towards the implementation of the recent Malabo Protocol.
Our two governments instructed the administrative authorities at the border area
to have good collaboration, which is going to enforce the relationship between Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea.
South Governor Felix Ngelengele has said investigations will be opened in Cameroon to throw more light on the issue, while Van Eden leaves Equatorial Guinea with the hope to reunite with his fiancée and 3 children and to get something doing in his native Maansop division of the South.
Members of the steering committee of the Livestock Development Project, PRODEL, have been meeting in Yaoundé to take stock of their successes and failures 3 years after the inception of the project. The president of the committee, Livestock Minister Dr. Tiger, told those in attendance that the project to vaccinate over 5 million goats and sheep and to donate more than 3,000 goats and sheep to breeders has been successful. Minister Tiger says some 5,000 animals have been vaccinated across the National Triangle. The third session of the steering committee also focused on the adoption of the 2020 budget of PRODEL. The Central Regional Director of Water has expressed the determination of his corporation to render better services to its customers. Mr. Eyafa Joseph Marie Bienvenu was speaking in Yaoundé as he went supervising repair works around Marché du Charbon area near the Mokolo Market here in Yaoundé. Tabot Nicholas Egbe reports from CRTV Center.
The management of Water is on the field to make sure the precious liquid that is sometimes scarce becomes more available and of good quality to the inhabitants of neighborhoods like Mokolo Yaoundé due to some challenges. We are very happy with the initiative taken by Water because we have been suffering for long. When it rains, there is mud. The road is practically impassable. At the strategic Marché de Charbon, Mokolo neighborhood, engineers and workers of Water have been working around the clock to fix things.
We have made many try to put water inside the pipe, and we are observed that we will not have problem again, and that we have to put pump to put the pressure height, and we have to observe after put the pump.
The water terminal between Biketeri and Mokolo will certainly bring hopes once more to these people.
Ici, l'entreprise GMC avait pris un engagement ferme qui a d'ailleurs été transmis à la hiérarchie. Ils avaient sollicité une interruption de l'approvisionnement en eau de 24 heures. Et là, vous constatez avec moi que nous sommes à plus de 72 heures, d'où la nécessité ou bien l'obligation pour la Water de prendre effectivement ces travaux en main. Nonobstant le contrat qui lie GMC à la mairie, nous avons un souci d'intérêt public, de souveraineté. Nous devons remettre le réseau en service.
Many people around the neighborhoods that are concerned with the repair works are now anxiously warming up for better days ahead.
While most parents in Cameroon prefer having their children with them during the long vacation period for better follow-up and mentoring, a good number of them have been opting to sending these kids to their villages to help out their grandparents and learn their culture and tradition. Our reporter Romeo Kenya was out in Kongmesak village near Monatele in the Lekki division to observe just what these holiday makers out there are engaged in terms of activities, and reports that it is quite an exciting moment for most of them.
A pot of ikorambas, or pap made from corn flour, is cooking. It is prepared for these kids by their mom. Outside, a game of marble keeps others busy. It is holiday in Kongmesa, a village in Monatele subdivision, Lekki division, Center region. Farm work has also been a diurnal activity for youngsters here.
I went to the farm to help my mother. During the holiday, I go to farm every day.
For their part, Nadine and Martin have decided to try their hand at business, moving from door to door, brandishing their wares. Working on a construction site has equally attracted many children.
We give them a little of a work where they can carry those sand and blocks to send
of the region. So a day you can arrange around 20 or 25,000. There is 5 where they always come and work here. They can use 3, 4, 5 hours per day to finish their duty and go back at home.
But for some, playing football is what is keeping them busy during this vacation.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Ever since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, fewer and fewer persons are going to hospitals in the country, even for routine checkups and other pathologies. 8 months after the virus strayed into Cameroon, the trend continues to be on the rise, a situation that leaves health professionals very worried. Let's now join Baldwin Sama at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center as he discusses the effects of the growing hospital's care with his guest, Dr. Joseph Fokam. Hello, Baldwin. If you are there, take the mic. With his guest, Dr. Joseph Fokam. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Ben Menopufong, and welcome. Indeed, it is a disturbing situation. This fear factor on the part of most Cameroonians, especially patients, was scared to visit the different hospital facilities during this period that we have for the coronavirus scare. But public health experts during their traditional press briefing this evening used the opportunity to reassure Cameroonians, especially patients, that these hospital facilities are safe and they can go on with their different regular visits. And they reminded Cameroonians that the Minister for Public Health, Dr. Malachi Manahuda, continues with his series of consultations with the different stakeholders involved in this fight against COVID-19 to get the best strategy for Cameroon during the 4th phase in this fight against this deadly virus. And tonight, Dr. Joseph Fokam, who is a virologist, our guest, we shall be looking at this fear factor on the part of Cameroonians. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Baldwin. Good evening to our televiewers.
With this ongoing massive test or massive screening for COVID-19, this slow pace on the part of most patients who are quite reluctant to visit these hospital facilities, what accounts for that?
Effectively, Baldwin, at the global level, we have observed a low turnout for hospital visit or hospital checkup within our national health facility. And at the Chantal Biya International Reference Center specifically, we have evaluated how this outbreak of COVID-19 might have impacted the monitoring of HIV-infected patients who are on antiretroviral therapy. And what we have observed is that for patients who need to be monitored for their clinical biochemistry and their hematological management, the number have dropped by 50% during this outbreak period. And also for patients who needed to have HIV drug resistance testing to get a better antiretroviral therapy, the number also has dropped by 3-fold, which is very worrying. However, and most importantly, we realize that for patients who need viral load monitoring during this same period, the number has surprisingly increased by 4-fold. Why? Because during this period of the outbreak, viral load testing has been offered free of charge to Cameroonian patients, and therefore, even with the outbreak, even with the fear, patients will still get access to healthcare because it is free of charge.
And very briefly, finally, we are told that we are going to live with the virus, we are going to live with this illness. How equipped our hospitals for us to be able to get to treat and live with the coronavirus?
Effectively, at the beginning of the pandemic, we had about 135% demand in terms of space in the hospital for COVID-19. Nowadays, we have just 4% of what is in place as hospital equipment to manage patients that has been used. So Cameroon actually is well prepared to receive patients infected or suffering of COVID-19 because we have enough space facility actually being prepared, being ready to manage all those cases.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Fokam. Our guest this evening, you are a virologist. The take-home message is continue visiting the different hospitals. These hospitals are safe, and measures have been put in place in these different hospitals to avoid any further contamination. Back to you, Ben Menopufo.
Thank you very much, Baldwin, with those updates out there. And you're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV. We are broadcasting live from Yaoundé. The Special Council Support Fund for Mutual Assistance, FCA, has changed its visual identity. The new logo that now portrays the vision of the structure was presented to the Yaoundé public today by the Director General, Philippe Kamer, in the presence of some administrative authorities and Directors General of other parastatals. Gladys Asu is here with a presentation of the new logo.
New structural changes come with a new appearance. 4 to 6 years of familiarity with a visual identity to its stakeholders, and with the coming of decentralization, the new visual signature is in line with FCA's evolution.
The former logo was not representing again what we are exactly. So we think that with that new identity, we need a logo which represents exactly what we are.
For 3 months, internal and external staff scrupulously worked on the new visual identity that portrays the history of the company and conveys its values.
You have the symbol of our headquarters that symbolizes modernism, and you have seen also a green color. That green color is our engagement for the respect of environment.
Created in 1974, the Special Council Support Fund for Mutual Assistance since last year implemented measures to modernize and improve the quality of its interventions, changes that also includes its visibility.
Some call it Vimli, others Ville Cruelle, and to many more Cameroonian, it is simply known as Mbalmayo. This colonial town, pregnant with history, also harbors a number of historical and tourist attractions that continue to pull visitors on a daily basis. Rabiatu Njingdi Abdulaziz of CRTV Center reports that amongst the many crowd-pulling venues are the sale points of kanga fish, considered a delicacy here.
Mbalmayo, the chief town of the Nyong and So division in the Central region, is situated at the banks of the Nyong River. The junction town links Yaoundé, Ibolova, and countries of the Central African sub-region, CIMAC.
There are some neighborhoods here where it is mostly occupied by some particular tribes, like those from the west and the north regions. I consider it a junction town because from Bamayo, you can pass and head on to Gabon and Equatorial Guinea.
With a current population of about 120,000 inhabitants on a land surface of 90,000 meters square, changes in Balmayo have been quite huge due to its rich touristic resources.
We also have touristic sites like the Ibogu and the Talassa touristic site.
There are a variety of dishes eaten here, but the kanga fish cuts across all ethnic groups and tribes found in the area.
When visitors come, they eat sweet roasted kanga. This place is known as Na Kanga.
The council, together with some vibrant and conscious youths, have created some form of solidarity and fraternity to see that Balmayo becomes a town of reference.
That's all from me. Thanks for watching. Good night.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
there's a way to sleep peacefully with someone that snores.
How do you do that?